And welcome back to another class. Now this is going to be an impromptu video because someone asked me to do a video on creating armor. He said there was no videos on how to create armor, so I figured I would take a stab at this, and this is going to be, my take on creating armor. I don't really think there is anything on creating armor, because that's a kind of a you thing. That's like me saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy a new house. I need y'all to design a house for me." But you don't know what I need. You don't know what I like. You might do a house without a swimming pool. I want a swimming pool. So a lot of it is going to be on you to design it, but I can show you some pointers toward designing your armor, because you might want futuristic, you might want old school. So as there's only so much that you can learn from somebody else coming from their point. So we start out with the body. Hopefully you can see this. I can see it in the monitor, so you should be able to see it as well. This is the body in dummy figures, shall we say. Now there are key points in the body that need to move, and I'm looking for a pencil. You're going to have in here, you have these joints that no matter how much armor you put on your character, these points are going to need to be able to move. So that's just something to think about. And if you look at Stormtroopers, the Stormtrooper design, and I just happen to have some Stormtrooper designs here. It's just like in a toy. When you have a toy, I think these are kind of like the perfect examples for designs, because as you see in those joints that they have to move, where the black is, that's basically, it's just like a rubber suit underneath the plastic or the so-called armor, because you're going to have to need that. You're going to have to, you need that for an armor to be functional or believably functional. So you just remember that. And one key point, like a lot of people will want to have these big old shoulder pads, that when you move your arms out, whatever's on top of your shoulder has to come up, and it's going to hit you in the side of the face. So even though these toys the arms don't come out, it'll hit you in the side of the face. So yeah, you're going to need room for stuff to move. Now, as I said, this is an impromptu video, meaning I didn't do any much preparation on doing it. So it's just coming out. All right, now I did print out a couple pages. Now, granted, no one knows, and I'm talking to more of a wider spread audience now. No one knows what kind of armor you actually need. If you want to do a medieval type, if you want to do futuristic type, only you can design your own armor. If you want guns on them or the weapons or whatever, only you can do that. I'm just showing you easy steps to do it. So like here, this guy this is like a mesh on his legs and on his arms. So the only part that's armored is this, and then his gloves. And even when you do fingers, you're going to have to do these little joints. Focus on that. You're going to have to do these little joints in the fingers because it moves. So anything that bends or turns or twists, you're going to have to do something. Even up here, I like the way they have this. So if he leans forward or backwards, this will tuck under this little plate here. The arm will only go so far out, so it will not be able, his arm will not be able to go all the way up. Even like if his sword was like on his back, he would probably have a hard time reaching back there to grab it, because this big old kick plate is in the way. Even this, and I understand that most of this stuff was done for protection, swinging against the swords, even this one. But I noticed here that this is a separate piece, so this arm will raise up just a little bit without this punching him in the face. So that's something you have to think about. And the neck just swivels. You won't be able to look up and down. So let's jump from this to this thing right here. If you have eyes, you know what this is. This is like Iron Man's armor, which is kind of like the ultimate. But even this one doesn't have a lot of the joints. Like this is basically like one piece for him. You know, there's like some little seams, but it's realistically, I think he has it's like a liquid armor now. But the one thing about this, and now we're talking about realism, is he has like these jet boots, jets that come out of his boots. So if his foot, let's just say this, if his foot hits about right here, in his armor, can you see that? This is where his foot would be. Where would he have room for his jets? So now I know we don't look at comics or we don't look at science fiction to look for realism. I mean, you know, if you look at comic books and somebody starts flying off of a building, we don't question that. We just say, oh, he has the power to fly. But how does one fly? How do you get forward thrust? Let's say I take a balloon's full of hot air or helium, and it'll go up. But it can't stop and go sideways or hit almost light speed and then stop. You know, but we look at that all the time in comics and we don't give any questions to that. So I would say number one rule is it's your design, it's your drawing. You could have whatever you want. I mean, if he can create a whole new planet by clicking his heels, I mean, it's your design. Nobody can say, no, that's impossible. That's impossible. It's impossible for Iron Man to have jets and everything else he has in his armor today, realistically. But in the comic book world, he can do whatever he wants to do. So you can do the same too. So let's go more to a futuristic armor. Yes, I did print these in color using my ink for you guys because that's what kind of teacher I am. I care. So even with the futuristic bit, you still have like this open part, and I kind of like this design. I just got this stuff offline, you know, and right here in the joints and even in the neck, it would probably move. I have no idea what type of helmet that would be on here, but those are the things you have to think about. Even in the fingers, you have the open joint. Now, are you going for, you have the joints. Now, are you going for realism when you design an armor? Are you going for something just to look cool and not really function? Well, you know, if breaking it down won't really function. Questions you have to ask yourself. And then this one came out really dark because it had a black background, a dark background. So this is more of your hardcore armor here, but it doesn't have those joints. I think maybe in the knee and back here and here, the arm would not be able to come up laterally to the side. It would just go up and back, and it's hard. But I mean, it looks cool. You know, it's big. So there again is the question. What are you looking for? Are you trying to look for realism? Are you trying to look for cool? You know, that will determine a lot about your armor. Now, I did one in the coloring book, my coloring book, because I was just trying to create some characters for it, and I wanted not an Iron Man character, but an armored character. So this is the guy that I created right here. And the thing is, I put little jets on his back because I knew, you know, I didn't want to, he would not have enough for, you know, thrusters coming out of his feet. So I wanted to give it some realism. So this is more, I would say, air propelled versus like fire and flame. So there would be a generator on his back, and these will come up like wings. They fold down and they come up, and these little nozzles will adjust. I forgot the word of it to give him that kind of angle. So yeah, it's on you. All right, so these little guys here, I did this guy to give you range of motion. You know, if I'm going to put armor on this guy, and I'm going to make something up, I'm going to probably redraw this guy again, reaching down here, redraw this guy again, maybe straight up so you can see, you know, what I did put on it. Not that guy, this guy here. So I can show you can see what I did put on it. So let's just imagine an armor on this guy. And as I say, I have no idea what kind of armor you would come up with, but I mean, it could be all around like a snowman armor, but that would be kind of stupid. So I mean, it's hard to design stuff off the fly, but when you're designing it, you know you have to leave room for the black areas. Let's just say I give him a high collar. Give him some cool shoulder pads, because you know you got to have the big shoulder pads for, you know, coolness. And then the shoulder part right here, let's just say and I'm not going to put a lot of detail in it. And another piece right here. This is going to come down here. Let's just say this here is here again with this. And this is just so that you have room for the shoulders, and it can go back and forth. And everybody got to have those cool, you know, shoulder pad things. Here is here. You got to have this here. Maybe a belt. Wow, looks like he's got a diaper on now. Some kind of connection here. Make this a little bigger. Let's just give him this kind of boot to protect his knee. And the big Warhammer boots. That's like, I think, is it Warhammer that they had the big suit on that, you know, would be impossible for his hands to reach his gloves. And I think they showed that he had a little thing that you grab and you can move your fingers, and yeah. But even at that, with your shoulders, if this is the shoulders on the suit, and your head is this big, and here are your shoulders right here, and here's your arm, you could never reach the controls on anything. You didn't see that. Here's the person, and then here's the shoulders on the Warhammer suit or whatever suit. And here's the arms. You know, somebody's arms, you know, you wouldn't be able to reach through. So how are you going to lift your shoulders up to get his arm to go up? You know, yeah, so it's you got to think about that. Get this out. I hate drawing on my example papers. This is why I always keep papers on the side of me and underneath me so I can draw examples. All right, let's finish this up. Now, let's say he could have jet boots if he wants to. You know, he doesn't have to. And I'm just going to get just a standard kind of helmet, okay? Just a pointy helmet, just because. And there's some eye socket there so he can see. And of course, your gloves, however you want your gloves, like that. Now, that's just my armor. Now, whatever you choose to put, I'm trying to keep the drawing in line with the camera. Got all the space over here. I'm not doing anything with whatever this detail you want to put. That's on you. I can't say, oh, okay, put this on here and put this on here and put that on there and add this to that and make sure this connects to that and this goes here and that goes there. I can't do that. Only you can do that. You have to have that vision in your head to do that. I'm just trying to show you what's going to work and what's not going to work. Now, realistically, would this work if I had to do this with this guy? Probably not, because this alone would hit him in the head. So if I had this going around his back, this thing would probably be up here, hitting him up in the head, and it still have to connect to this somehow. And this is open. That's just going to be the black area. Right here would be the cylinder. This would come open, and then you'd have that cylinder here. So there are certain things that you would not be able to do with armor. My suggestion would be draw some silly positions like this first. Did you even see that what I was drawing? Anyway, I'll go back over this real quick. This would hit him in the side of the head every time he lifted his arm up, if he could. This would still be open. This has to connect somewhere. I guess it would connect to this piece right here. All this would connect. So that means all this and all this would be wide open if he lifted his arms up. This would have to pull. And then he definitely would have to have room for his wrist to move. Let's take a look at this. See, this is connected right here, like these two pieces to lift this, to get, I guess it's hinged right here. So his wrist could go up and down, but not like this. So it must have been hard. And I saw a thing on not CNN, but one of those things about knights and how we look at the knights as, oh, it was cool. It would be cool to live back in those days. And they were saying that these guys had to wear this thing sometimes for like 12 hours at a time, you know, if it's going to be a battle. They said oftentimes they went to the bathroom in these armors because they can't just pull over to the side and then take it off, because it takes another person to help them get it on. So once they're in there until somebody helps them, you know, take it off. So they said, you know, they weren't as glamorous and glorious as you think, because they had to use the bathroom in these things. If you have on a crusade or something, you can't just pull over to the nearest gas station and they unhook you. So yeah, think about that for a minute. Think about that. And even at this one, you have the black in the hands for it to move. Just when, you know, something to think about when you design your armor. And then Iron Man, I always, you know, he's got those repulsors in the palm of his hand. So if you had something round, I don't have anything flat and round. Let's try this. If I had this in my hand and stayed, I could not make a fist. I can't really grab anything. If there's a pencil in my hand or something small, I can't really grab that. Now, some of the things they did show where he couldn't grab because, you know, the round thing. But that's kind of, to me, that's kind of a hindrance. Again, draw some wacky positions and then actually see if your armor would work. And if you're trying to give this guy like some like guns, like if he's like War Machine and he's got like guns on his back, first of all, you would have to have if it comes like around like War Machine, or if they're gonna aim like the Predator, I think it was a Predator or Alien, it was a Predator, you know, you gotta have some kind of pivoting device on the back of it to do that. So, you know, if he's running and jumping, and you know, you have to take in consideration, can this person move, or is he just going to stand around and look cool like this? Now, if you're just trying to do an armor just to do an armor to look cool, then this is fine. I mean, if it's not going to move, but if you're going to do some kind of story to it, you know, then you're going to have to want it to be able to function. Otherwise, you are wasting your time. Because they do look cool when they're just standing in that certain position, but is it functional? And then I'm not going to say anybody's going to say it, but there will be somebody that says, oh, how does this work, or how does that work? But nobody asks, how does Superman fly? How does he hover? How does he stop, you know, and in turn position? What does he use? Does he use gravity? Does he use his super breath? So, yeah, just ask them that. If somebody ever asks you something, well, how does this work? That's stupid. You ask them, well, how does Superman fly? And then they'll probably shut up. So, yeah. As I said, this is impromptu. So let me do a quick sketch of my guy on some good piece of paper, because it might turn out to be something wonderful. All right, so here's a second picture of this guy. I think I only have 2 pictures in this book, in this coloring book, of my Iron Guy suit. So I'm going to redraw this and try to explain it, because this was, as I said, this was just off the top of my head. Just some of the characters in there are old school characters I already had, and some are just made up just for coloring sake. What do I need? I need a pencil and a position. So let me just, I don't know. Since he's going back, and it's hard for me to come up with a position out of the blue. I usually need to think of a situation. Let's just throw something down and see what comes up. Oval, and I think the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to basics. Going to go back to the basics of drawing the anatomy parts, because I had a few people were saying that they're really still beginners. They found my channel and they're really still beginners And I've got so many things down there that it'd probably be hard for them to find the beginning drawing lessons. So come up with a basic body. I'm trying to draw this a little thick because I'm going to thick as in armor thickness, but just draw the body regular size, and then just throw the armor on there, and that way you can tell if it's going to work. I don't even know if it's going to work. As I said, I just came up with this guy thinking, or not putting not too much thought into it, but it is a thinking game. You have to think when you draw, just like I always say, comics depends. It depends on what you need. So nobody can really show you how to draw something. It depends on what you need at that time. Somebody say draw a hand, and I draw a fist, or I draw a female hand, and you're like, no, I needed a hand with somebody holding a gun. So it depends on what you need. The inside. And then his head is going to be here. Actually draw a head, neck, head, and his head is going to be up more. So that's my guy. Okay, I am my guy. That's my position. That's my position. So I'm going to fill this up. Or I'm going to put his armor on him. So, as I said, I threw a lot of stuff on this guy. She's blue. Without thinking, because I didn't want him to be an Iron Man. And I knew that you have to have room for your man junk. So I threw a little arrow thing up here, a little piece. And 2 lines down here. This comes up like a high boot, really. And I have the belt. On him. Now, if you say, what is his purpose? I would say, I don't know. And that's another thing. You have to think about armor. Is it armor for war? Is it armor for exploration? That helps, because if it's war, you say to yourself, okay, I need a thick armor that can, take whatever shell rounds or laser blasts or what have you. So I'll bring it in a little bit more, close to his abs. So this guy kind of wanted to make functional. So if you say, well, what does that do and what does that do? I'll say, you know what? I don't know. To me at that point, it looked cool. So, and trying to not for people to say, oh, that's a Iron Man knockoff. So this went around his neck. So he does have those but they're not that big. It goes out. But they are thick. On top of that, I had which would be non-functional, because these would have to go over top of it. And this is why I say draw a crazy position before you try to draw your character or your armor. So this came down the center. He had collar, and I'm assuming this was an airtight robot or airtight suit. And this one would come here and around into that. So this would have to go all the way around, and this piece would not, it would have to be way over here. Cannot overlap. Things to think about. Then I had his helmet. Let's see if he's going to be that way. Like this. A little triangle. And it came down. I guess that's to offset that. This came up for some reason. Maybe it's a clip for the mask, because I had another one here. Kind of looks like a dog. Put that line all the way down, get that dog look away from him. Some kind of clip on both sides. Then this actually went up to the glasses, which were small. And it came down like this. I don't know why. I guess it's just the design thing. Then I had like a kind of little visor over top of it. And let me do these glasses so that you or I won't get kind of screwed up as to what's going on. I had this little piece here. I knew the helmet came out a little further from the back. And then the little communications part. It'll be on both sides. Kind of almost looks like a racer's helmet. 2 rivets here. Guess to show that it was metal. I think that was it for this particular helmet. So he has a joint moving plate here. Make that a little thicker. For that delt. Another one here. Is this going out to the side, or is it going back? It's going to the side now. A smaller one for the elbow part. So they would all, I guess, turn and rotate in here, but now when he brought his arm, when he bent his arm, that's a whole different story. And a smaller, he has this, no, that's that. The small part. Okay, so then he has these gauntlets and something on the front, and I'm assuming he was shooting. And no gauntlet, no gloves, no metal gloves. There's something back here. Maybe for thrusters, I don't know. Shoot out here or something, who can say? And I'll ink this, fast motion ink this. And then this guy, from the looks of it, maybe just like some thick gloves. which tells me it wasn't for space. I don't know. I can change those gloves at any time. So again, this part right here is down. It's going to be right there. This part right here. A little piece for the elbow and the big gauntlet. Definitely not liquid armor. And this had some little shape to it. It wasn't just round. Maybe some indentation in the armor to show the guy's kind of cool. Bigger lats, because it wants to be cool like that. So palm and palm, thumb. And cut and dry. The bottom is cut and dry. Are you seeing this, or am I just drawing and you guys can't see it? I don't know if you even saw the helmet. So I think I need to either move this camera back or pull back a little bit. Let's try that. You should have been. I wouldn't have drew so high up. I don't think. I don't know. If you didn't see it, I'm sorry. I didn't look at the monitor. So he has this. I don't know what this is on the side. Maybe it pins the boots. I don't know. Just something cool. And he has a hose that goes around kind of to show, it's not all, Stark technology. The boots, so this is going to be a little thicker. It's like this. And it has a narrow wedge piece. This covers the knee greatly. Another piece here. And then down. Inch here has another little, I guess there's a pivot piece right there. And then his boots, or shoes, these are not boots. Come down, and the toe part for that, what do you call that? The articulation. And I'm sure he has some kind of heel, sticky kind of heel. Anyway, on the side, there is another piece, the same as this. And I'm shocked that this is smooth. It doesn't have any details on the bottom anyway. Comes out. I don't know what this is. What it is for. It looks cool though. Someone's like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. So this has some lines through it. Now, as I said, this was done a while back. Now, I can always upgrade it, change it, take some off, add some more to it. This was a piece too. If I had these two pieces, I should have had one straight down the line in that. Keeping with, now this, here's your problem right here. This is going to have to be black. This is going to have to, unless it's like liquid metal, whenever you bend your leg, you're going to have that opening. Same thing when you bend your arm, you're going to have that opening. It looks cool on paper, but when you want to do some realism to it, that's another story. So you know what? Because this is comics, I am going to take this all away. It's metal, but it's going to go all the way because it's comics. Or basically, it's my design. So this knee piece, that leg long enough, give or take an inch. I'm going to have this here, which is right here. And then that little teeny pivot piece point. And this knee part is going to come up here. Now, no matter how you look at it, you're going to have some space or something that is allowing that knee to bend. So the knee's going to be down here, and I mean, I could just put it all in shadow, which is like a get over, but you know, my drawing. And then, of course, the boots. And then there's that articulation joint right there. Yeah. So these parts did not have any kind of detail to it. The leg, the top thigh of the leg. So there's another one over here, but you don't see it. I never really designed the back of it, so I have no idea what it goes to. I'm assuming something down in his back, his belt. So this is my character. This is my robot. I have another one that I designed a long time ago when I was in Iron Man, when he had the old suit with the big boots. I like those big boots because I could believe more jets, you know, and I designed a kind of, it was between Iron Man and Star Wars that I did, except he had a sound sword. It wasn't a lightsaber, it was a sound sword, because I didn't want to bite off Star Wars because so many people were doing that. So I decided to do a sound sword because sound will shatter stuff. So I kind of designed that. And maybe one day if I'm in a dig out mood, I'll get it and dig it out. So I'm going to ink this guy fast motion and see what I have and see if it works. And I don't know if I'm going to add anything to it because I may color it later. I have to do some more coloring tutorials because I bought these $270 pens and it's a shame if I don't ever use them. All right, so, oh, I forgot his jetpack, these things. So I'll say I'm using this image to redraw this guy. And this is air. As I said, I didn't want, you know, I didn't want something that was unrealistic. It's all unrealistic. And these are just like little, and I can't think of the name of it for whatever reason. I cannot think of the name of vertical thruster jets. And they pivot on this little round piece right here that's built into the metal. So they would come down, I think like this. Come on, Brian, use your perspective, bro. And they would fold back in when he's not flying, or fold down. Kind of like the Tomcat wings, Tomcat F-14 Tomcat. Love that plane, favorite plane. If I had money and that kind of power, I would buy a decommissioned one and just learn to fly. And even if I couldn't fly, it would be in my yard. So these vertical thrusters will go up, down, you know, whatever angle he needs to fly. They're independent of one another. So one could go up, one could go down for a crazy kind of barrel roll. And they would actually be flat on his back, but I'm not gonna split hairs over that right now. So yeah, they would be air that thrusts him. Like Steam Boy. Steam Boy used steam, but good movie. All right, if I can, amongst all my papers, if I can find a pen that will allow me to draw this, I'm going to do this in fast motion. Maybe put a little shadow in there. If I can find a pen that actually writes well. All right, so here we go, fast motion. So I think that's going to be enough of me destroying this picture. So there you have my armored guy. You always say you want to stop and you keep on going. That's just me. Just this little neck piece, make it a little thicker. So as I say, when you do these guys, when you do your suits, kind of make sure that they will function, you know, reasonably enough. Because with this plate here, he's not going to be able to lift his shoulders or shrug his shoulders. So any armor is going to give you some kind of restriction of motion, and that's probably something you don't want when you design your armor. This is a pet peeve of mine. When it does that, oh my God, I hate that because I have so many pencils here, here, and on the side. That's just a pet peeve of mine. And I gotta get a good eraser. Smudge marks, I hate that. That's why I use red and blue. So anyway, as I said, no one can tell you or no one can show you what it is you want, what you are envisioning in your head. I can just give you a short path to walk to get to that, but a lot of it is in your head. Like someone else asked me about doing fantasy worlds. You know, that, yeah, I don't know what kind of fantasy world you want, jungle, city, rocky, stuff like that, but I can give you those paths to walk on, and I'm going to work on that for you people who are trying to design worlds for your characters to live in. So until then, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment if you liked it. If not, leave me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will be kicking out more videos, and I'm going to try to do this put a video out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'm ahead now, so I can do this at least for this week. We'll see what happens next week, but that's the plan. 3 times a week, if not at least 2 times a week, you know, at a certain time, not like 12 midnight or 4 a.m. or something like that. So I think I covered everything I wanted to cover, and yeah. Any questions, leave me a comment. I may color this one day because as I said, I'm going to do some coloring stuff because I don't want to waste my markers, $270. All right, so no rambling. I'm just going to end this, and I'll see you guys later. Class is dismissed. Keep drawing, stay safe, and check out some of the older videos for, you know, other stuff that you may need. All right, I'm out. Later.